I stood in the marble lobby of the Grandview Hotel, my phone glowing in my hand. The text I'd just sent was simple. Professional. Final. Effective immediately. Withdraw all capital from Prestige Fashion Group. Execute standard 30-day notice per silent partner agreement. Proceed with dissolution of investment relationship. My fund manager replied within 90 seconds. Confirmed. Processing withdrawal. $3.7 million will be liquidated and transferred per contract terms. Board notification going out now. I slipped my phone into my clutch and walked toward the valet stand. Behind me, through the ornate doors of the hotel ballroom, I could hear the string quartet still playing. Mom's Fifth Annual Charity Gala was in full swing. 200 guests. Champagne flowing. A celebration of her boutique empire's success. Success I'd been funding for 4 years. My car arrived. I tipped the valet and drove home. I was 3 miles away when Mom's first call came through. I didn't answer. 4 years earlier, Mom had announced her dream at Sunday brunch. I'm opening a boutique, she'd said, her eyes bright with excitement. High-end fashion. Curated collections. Personal styling services. Something sophisticated. Something that matters. Dad had looked up from his newspaper. That sounds expensive. It's an investment, Mom had countered. The fashion industry is thriving. I've already found the perfect location downtown. The space is available now, but I'd need to move quickly. How much? Dad had asked. Mom had hesitated. The lease is $12,000 a month. Plus renovations, inventory, staff. Probably $200,000 to start properly. Dad had folded his newspaper. We don't have that kind of capital. The business is stable, but we're not liquid enough for that kind of risk. I could take a loan, Mom had suggested. Against what collateral? The conversation had stalled there. Mom had looked devastated. I'd been 28 at the time. 3 years into my position as a senior analyst at a defense contracting firm. I'd just completed a classified project that had earned me a significant bonus. $180,000 after taxes. I could invest, I'd said quietly. Everyone had turned to look at me. What? Mom had asked. I could invest in your boutique, I'd repeated. I have savings. I could provide the startup capital. As a silent partner. You run the business, I just provide the funding. Mom's face had lit up. Jessica, really? You'd do that? On one condition, I'd said. I stay completely silent. My name doesn't appear anywhere. No one knows I'm involved. You get all the credit, all the recognition. I'm just the financial backing. Why would you want that? Dad had asked, suspicious. Because I don't care about the boutique business, I'd said honestly. But I care about Mom being happy. And this seems important to her. So I'll fund it. But I don't want to be part of the public face. I have security clearances. Government work. It's better if my name isn't attached to commercial ventures. That last part was true enough. Though the real reason was simpler. I'd wanted to see if Mom could appreciate my support without it becoming about me. I'd pay you back, Mom had said quickly. With interest. Once the business is profitable. We can formalize it properly, I'd agreed. Investment contract. Profit sharing. All legal. We'd signed papers the following week. I'd transferred $200,000 from my savings account. Mom had opened Prestige Fashion Group 2 months later. The boutique had done well. Mom had good taste, good connections, and good timing. Within 6 months she was profitable. Within a year she was expanding. I need to hire 2 more stylists, she told me over coffee. And I'm thinking about opening a second location. But that means more inventory, more staff, more infrastructure. How much? I'd asked. Another $300,000 would set us up perfectly. I'd transferred the money that week. Year 2 she'd needed funding for a major inventory purchase. An exclusive deal with a European designer. $400,000 for the full collection. But it'll double our high-end client base. I'd approved it. Year 3 she'd wanted to launch a personal shopping service. We need software, dedicated staff, a marketing campaign. $500,000 would cover it. I'd provided it. By year 4 I'd invested $3.7 million total into Prestige Fashion Group. Mom's boutique had become one of the most successful fashion destinations in the city. She'd been featured in magazines. Interviewed on local television. Invited to fashion weeks in New York and Paris. She'd never once mentioned that her daughter was the primary investor. At family gatherings, Mom loved talking about her success. "I built this from nothing," she'd tell her friends. "Just vision, determination, and hard work. No handouts. No shortcuts. Just pure entrepreneurial spirit." Her friends would marvel. "How did you fund it all?" "Small business loans initially," Mom would say. "Then the business funded its own growth. That's how you know you've built something sustainable. It pays for itself." I'd sit quietly drinking my wine, saying nothing. My sister Claire would sometimes add her own commentary. "Mom's amazing. She took this huge risk and it paid off. She's such an inspiration." Claire was 25, working in marketing at a startup. She'd always been Mom's favorite. Stylish, social, charismatic. Everything I wasn't. "Unlike some people who just play it safe with boring government jobs," Claire had once added, glancing at me. Mom had laughed. "Jessica's always been risk-averse. She likes stability. Predictability. Nothing wrong with that. The world needs worker bees too." Worker bees. I'd invested $3.7 million into her dream, and she'd called me a worker bee. Mom's Fifth Annual Charity Gala was her biggest event yet. A fundraiser for women's entrepreneurship, held at the city's most exclusive hotel. Tickets were $500 each. The guest list included local celebrities, business leaders, and politicians. "You should come," Mom had said when she'd sent me the invitation. "It'll be good for you to network. Meet some successful people. Maybe inspire you to take some risks in your own career." I'd bought a ticket. I'd worn a simple black dress. Elegant but understated. I'd arrived exactly on time, handed my ticket to the registration desk, and entered the ballroom. The space was stunning. Crystal chandeliers. White linen. Floral arrangements that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. A string quartet played in the corner while servers circulated with champagne and hors d'oeuvres. Mom was holding court near the center of the room, surrounded by admirers. She wore a custom gown, one of the European designer pieces I'd funded. Her jewelry sparkled under the chandeliers. She looked happy, successful, proud. I'd grabbed a glass of champagne and found a quiet corner to observe. I'd been standing near the windows looking out at the city lights when I'd overheard Mom's voice. "That's my daughter Jessica," she was saying to a group of women I didn't recognize. "The one by the window." I'd glanced over. Mom was gesturing in my direction, her expression carefully neutral. "She seems lovely," one of the women had said politely. "She's..." Mom had paused and I'd seen the hesitation. The calculation. "She's the family embarrassment, if I'm honest." The words had hung in the air. "Oh," one of the women had prompted. "Such a disappointment," Mom had continued, her voice pitched just loud enough for me to hear. "She works some government job. Mid-level analyst. Nothing special. Never took any risks. Never built anything meaningful. Just coasting through life." The women had nodded sympathetically. "I tried to inspire her," Mom had said, warming to her theme. "Showed her what's possible when you have vision and courage. But she's content being mediocre. Some people just don't have that entrepreneurial fire, I suppose." "That must be difficult for you," one woman had murmured. "It is," Mom had agreed. "Especially at events like this. Everyone here is accomplished, ambitious, making a difference. And then there's Jessica, hiding in the corner with her government salary and her complete lack of ambition." One of the women had glanced in my direction. Our eyes had met for a brief second. I'd set down my champagne glass. I'd walked past Mom's group toward the exit. "Excuse me," I'd said quietly as I passed. Mom had looked up, startled. "Jessica? Leaving already?" "Yes," I'd replied. "Something came up." I kept walking. In the lobby, I'd pulled out my phone and opened my encrypted messaging app. My fund manager monitored it 24/7 for exactly these kinds of situations. I'd typed out the message carefully, professionally, without emotion. "Effective immediately. Withdraw all capital from Prestige Fashion Group. Execute standard 30-day notice per silent partner agreement. Proceed with dissolution of investment relationship." The reply had come almost instantly. "Confirmed. Processing withdrawal. $3.7 million will be liquidated and transferred per contract terms." Board notification going out now. I'd texted back. Ensure all legal requirements met. No accelerated timeline. Standard 30-day notice is sufficient. Understood. Documentation will be filed tomorrow morning. I'd walked to the valet stand, handed over my ticket, and waited for my car. My phone had started buzzing before I'd even left the parking lot. Mom called 17 times that first night. I turned my phone to silent and left it on my nightstand. By morning I had 43 missed calls. 26 from Mom. 12 from Claire. 5 from Dad. I'd made coffee, sat at my kitchen counter, and finally listened to the voicemails. Mom's first message from 9:47 p.m. Jessica, I just got a very strange call from our business attorney. Something about an investment withdrawal? There must be some mistake. Call me back immediately. Her second message, 10:03 p.m. Jessica, this is serious. The lawyer says you're pulling $3.7 million from the business? That doesn't make sense. You're not an investor. Call me back. This is urgent. Her third message, 10:15 p.m. voice rising. Jessica, I know you can hear these. The lawyer says you've been a silent partner for 4 years? That you've funded the entire business? Why would you tell him that? Is this some kind of sick joke? Call me now. Her fourth message, 10:31 p.m. Panicked. The board is in emergency session. They're saying the business will collapse without this capital. Jessica, whatever I did, I'm sorry. Please call me back. Please. We can fix this. I deleted the rest without listening. Claire's voicemails were predictably dramatic. How could you do this to Mom? You're destroying her dream out of spite. You've always been jealous of her success. Dad's messages were more measured but equally desperate. Jessica, let's talk about this rationally. I'm sure we can work something out. I'd poured my coffee and started my morning routine. The investment contract I'd signed 4 years ago had been very specific. Very professional. Drafted by one of the best business attorneys in the state. Key terms. Asterisk silent partner status. My name would not appear in any public documents or marketing materials. Asterisk capital contribution. Initial $200,000 with provisions for additional investments as approved. Asterisk profit sharing. 15% of net profits quarterly. Asterisk withdrawal clause. Either party could terminate the investment relationship with 30 days written notice. Asterisk upon termination. All invested capital would be returned within 30 days, calculated at current market value of the investment. That last clause was the critical one. Over 4 years I'd invested $3.7 million. The business had grown substantially. My 15% stake was now worth approximately $5.2 million based on the company's current valuation. But the contract was clear. I was entitled to the full current value of my investment upon withdrawal. Mom's business couldn't survive losing $5.2 million in 30 days. The business attorney had explained this to her on the phone last night. I knew because he'd sent me a detailed summary of the conversation. Mrs. Anderson was shocked to learn of your investment history. His email had read. She claims she didn't understand the extent of your capital contributions. She's requesting an emergency meeting to discuss alternative arrangements. I'd replied, proceed with standard contract terms. No meeting necessary. Mom showed up at my office 3 days later. I worked in a secure government facility. Visitors needed clearance, background checks, and escort protocols. Mom had none of these things. She'd made it as far as the lobby before security stopped her. They called me. Ms. Anderson, there's a Margaret Anderson here claiming to be your mother. She's requesting to see you. We've explained the security protocols, but she's insisting it's an emergency. Tell her I'm in a classified briefing, I'd said. I'll call her when I'm available. She's saying she'll wait. That's her choice. I'd gone back to work. 2 hours later, security called again. Your mother is still in the lobby. She's becoming agitated. Should we call local police to escort her out? I'd sighed. I'll come down. Mom had looked terrible. Her makeup was smudged. Her designer outfit, another piece I'd funded, was rumpled. She'd clearly been crying. Jessica, she'd said when she saw me. Finally. We need to talk. We don't, I'd replied. Everything is handled through the attorneys. The contract is clear. The contract is going to destroy my business, Mom said desperately. You know that. You're pulling $5.2 million in 30 days. We don't have that kind of liquid capital. I'll have to sell assets, lay off staff, possibly close locations. Everything I've built will collapse. Everything you built with my money, I'd corrected quietly. I didn't know, Mom said. I didn't know you'd invested that much. I thought it was just the initial $200,000. I thought the rest came from business loans, profits, growth. You signed documents every time I invested, I'd interrupted. Every single capital contribution required your signature. You knew exactly how much I was putting in. Mom's face crumpled. I didn't read them carefully. The lawyer handled all that. I didn't think. You didn't think I was capable of having that much money, I'd finished. Because I'm just a mediocre government employee. A worker bee. The family embarrassment with her boring, risk-free career. Mom had gone pale. You heard that. I did. I didn't mean it, she'd said quickly. I was just talking, making conversation. I didn't think. You didn't think I was important enough to worry about, I'd said. You thought I was nobody. So you could say whatever you wanted about me without consequence. Jessica, please. Mom's voice was breaking. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said those things. But you can't destroy my business over some careless comments at a party. I'm not destroying anything, I'd said calmly. I'm withdrawing my investment. That's my legal right. The contract is very clear. Either party can terminate with 30 days' notice. I'm exercising that right. But why now? Mom demanded. After 4 years? Why pull out now? Because I finally understand what this relationship actually is, I'd said. For 4 years I thought I was supporting your dream. Helping you build something meaningful. Being a good daughter. But I wasn't. I was being your ATM. Your secret bank account. Something you used when convenient and ignored when not. That's not true, Mom protested. You told a room full of people I was an embarrassment, I'd said quietly. You called me mediocre. Disappointing. A failure. At your gala. The one celebrating your success. Success I funded. Do you have any idea how that felt? Mom's eyes filled with tears. I was wrong. I know that. But please, Jessica. Don't punish everyone who works for me because I said something stupid. Think about the employees. The customers. The people who depend on this business. I am thinking about them, I'd said. That's why I'm giving 30 days notice instead of demanding immediate payment. You have 30 days to find alternative financing. Sell equity to another investor. Take out loans. Restructure. Whatever you need to do. But I'm out. No one will invest $5.2 million in 30 days, Mom said desperately. Then you'll need to downsize, I'd replied. Close some locations. Reduce inventory. Cut expenses. Do what small business owners do when they lose funding. Adapt. I'll lose everything. No, I'd corrected. You'll lose the business you built with my money. That's different. You'll still have your house, your car, your savings, your reputation. You'll be fine. You just won't be as successful as you were when I was funding you. Jessica, please. I need to get back to work, I'd said. I have a classified briefing in 10 minutes. The attorneys will handle everything. Please don't come here again. This facility has strict security protocols. I turned and walked back through the security checkpoint. Mom couldn't follow. The business collapsed in slow motion over the next 30 days. I tracked it through the legal documents my attorney forwarded. Mom had tried to secure emergency financing from 3 different banks. All had declined. The business was too leveraged, too dependent on my capital, too risky without me as a backer. She tried to find another investor. But anyone willing to invest that much money wanted controlling interest. Mom had refused. She'd built this empire. She wasn't giving control to a stranger. She tried to restructure the debt. But the numbers didn't work. Without my capital, the business had negative cash flow. The only sustainable option was dramatic downsizing. On day 28, Mom's attorney sent a formal proposal. Could we renegotiate the withdrawal? Perhaps spread the payment over 2 years instead of 30 days? Or accept a lower valuation in exchange for more time? My attorney had replied, Anderson declines. Standard contract terms will proceed as written. On day 30, the money transferred into my accounts. $5.2 million. Prestige Fashion Group filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy the same day. I heard the aftermath through Claire, who decided to become the family messenger service. Mom had to close both locations. Claire texted me. Lay off all staff. Liquidate inventory. She's devastated. I hope you're happy. I didn't reply. The house is going up for sale, Claire texted a week later. They can't afford it anymore without the business income. They're moving to a condo. Mom cries every day. This is all your fault. I blocked Claire's number. Dad called once. I'm not asking you to reinvest, he said carefully. I'm just trying to understand. Was it really worth it? Destroying your mother's life's work over some comments at a party. She destroyed it herself, I'd replied. By building it on a foundation she didn't own and couldn't maintain without me. That's not my fault. That's basic business reality. She's your mother, Dad said. And I was her daughter, I'd countered. Her embarrassing, disappointing, mediocre daughter who funded her entire empire. Funny how she forgot that part when she was taking credit for everything. Dad had been quiet for a long moment. What do you want from us, Jessica? Nothing, I'd said honestly. I don't want apologies. I don't want reconciliation. I don't want acknowledgement. I just want to be done. Done being used. Done being dismissed. Done being the secret source of success for people who think I'm a failure. So that's it? You're just cutting us out. I'm just withdrawing my investment, I'd said. Personal and financial. If that feels like cutting you out, maybe that says something about what our relationship actually was. I'd hung up. I received a letter from Mom. Handwritten like she'd taken time with it. Jessica, I've spent 6 months thinking about what happened. About what I said. About what I did. You were right about everything. I used you. I took credit for your investment. I dismissed your contributions because I didn't want to admit that my success wasn't entirely my own. I wanted to be the self-made entrepreneur. The woman who built an empire from nothing. But I wasn't. You were the empire. I was just the face. I understand now why you withdrew. I understand now what I lost. It wasn't just the money. It was you. My daughter. The person who believed in me enough to invest millions in my dream. And I repaid you by calling you an embarrassment. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect anything. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. I see what I did. I see what I lost. I'm sorry, Mom. I read the letter 3 times. Then I filed it in my desk drawer next to the investment contract and went back to work. I was promoted to executive director at my firm. The promotion came with expanded responsibilities and a substantial raise. I bought a vacation home in Colorado. Small cabin, mountain views, perfect for weekend getaways. I started dating someone from my gym. Michael was a physical therapist, kind and grounded, with no interest in fashion or boutiques or family drama. On Christmas, Michael asked if I wanted to visit my family. I don't have a relationship with my family, I said simply. What happened? I funded my mother's business for 4 years, I explained. She took all the credit, called me an embarrassment at her gala, then was shocked when I withdrew my investment and her empire collapsed. Michael processed this. You invested how much? $3.7 million over 4 years. Got back $5.2 million when I withdrew. That's... He searched for words. That's a significant investment. It was, I agreed. And a significant loss when she didn't even respect me enough to acknowledge it. Do you miss them? Michael asked carefully. No, I said honestly. I miss the idea of them. The family I thought I had. But I don't miss the reality. The reality was exhausting. We spent Christmas with Michael's family instead. They were warm, welcoming, and nobody asked me for money. It was the best Christmas I'd had in years. Sometimes people ask me if I regret it. Pulling the funding. Letting Mom's business collapse. Cutting off the family. I don't. Because here's what I learned. You can't build a relationship on silent support and invisible contributions. You can't fund someone's dream while they call you a disappointment. You can't be someone's secret weapon while they publicly call you their embarrassment. Mom didn't love me. She loved what I could do for her. And once I stopped doing it, there was nothing left. The business collapsed because it was built on my capital, not her entrepreneurial genius. That's not my fault. That's just reality catching up. She had 4 years to acknowledge my contributions. 4 years to treat me with respect. 4 years to build a sustainable business that didn't depend entirely on my silent funding. He chose not to. That's not on me. I sleep perfectly fine at night. In my house. That I bought. With the money I earned. And kept. All of it mine. The family embarrassment is doing just fine.